I'm going to share with you the morning routine that took me from millions of dollars in debt to building an 8-figure business in just a few years. But before that, there's some thinking that you must understand in order to apply. So if you go into the morning routine without this information, it'll just be like every other morning routine that hasn't worked for you. I want a beautiful sports car that I drive. I want to live by the beach. I want a happy and healthy family. I write all these things down. Within 3 years, manifested the lot. 10 years, I got direct coaching from a billionaire. I'm going to share with you exactly what he shared with me. But before that, I'll explain to you where I was when I got this information. As I walked into this meeting, I was trying to rebound from one of the most crazy 18 months of my life. See, just 18 months before, I had a $4.5 million a year business, traveling the world, speaking, everything was going great. I'd spoken in 13 countries, everything was going great. And in an instant, it was all taken away. My best friend and business partner was killed in a motorcycle accident, and it was horrible, horribly painful. The business fell apart. He was the anchor in the business. Everything went the wrong way. I owed tons of money to the tax. Everything was bad. And so I tried to rebound, and this rebound actually got me deeper in a hole. I ended up building a company to $2 million, getting taken for it, and ended up even worse off. And it was horrible. I don't wish it on anyone. And so I was trying to get investment in a new venture, and I'd gone to a business conference, and at that conference there was a billionaire, and I explained my new concept, and he said it was really good. So I spent some of my last money on this ticket across to Austin, Texas, and walked into this room. I did my pitch, best pitch. I'm a pretty good public speaker. Like, I pitched this thing, and he walked up to me at the end, and he said, "Chris, I love your idea." And I'm like, it's going to save me. I love this idea so much, but we're not going to invest in this business because of you. And it still hurts to say it today. I just wanted to honestly uppercut him. Like, I could have given it to him anyway. And I sat there and to my credit, I just said, why? Why? And he says, your focus will mean any money that I give you, it will evaporate. You're in a structure that needs to change, and I'm willing to help you. And so what he explained to me transformed my life completely. Within 3 years, I built an 8-figure business. Then I did it again, changed my life in every way you could ever imagine. And I'm going to explain to you exactly what he shared with me and how you can apply it to your life. And this is very important. He said to me, we're not going to invest in you because of your structure. He says your identity of being a small person who's not it, from New Zealand, battling against the world, will mean anything we give you will just disappear. He says your structure is what's stopping you. And he said you must learn to be it before you see it. You must be it to see it. And I said, how can you be it to see it? He said you must be it internally before you'll see it externally. And he said, you must learn to be super conscious. He said, Chris, you don't even know who you are. You don't even know your true self. And I'm like, what is this guy on about? But he was way richer than me. And so I thought I should probably listen. And he goes, you don't even know your true self. And he said, Chris, what are you really? He said, you're not your identity. You're not from New Zealand. You're not this name. You're not this. What are you really? He took me through an exercise. So wherever you are listening to this, I want you to first to acknowledge something. Acknowledge that you are not your relationships. You are not them. And just acknowledge that. Just notice that you're not your relationships, your friends, your family, your colleagues. You're not them. And now acknowledge that you are not your home. You're the building, the house, your home. You're not it. You're separate from it. You have a home, but you're not it. And now continue. I want you to acknowledge that you are not the clothes you're wearing. You're not your clothes. You have clothes. You're in your clothes, but you're not them. And so I'm sitting there looking at this guy like, yeah. And he goes, now, Chris, acknowledge that you are not your body. So, okay. He says, acknowledge it. You have a body, but you're not your body. He said, acknowledge you're not your body, you're not your name, you're not your past. Acknowledge this. And so I did. And he says, Chris, just acknowledge you're not your feelings. I was like, huh. He goes, you're not your feelings. What are you? You're not your feelings. Acknowledge you have feelings. You're sad about your friend, you're frustrated, you're annoyed, but you're not your feelings. He said, acknowledge this. You're not your thoughts. I'm like, not my thoughts. So yeah, you're not your thoughts. You're not what you're thinking right now. You're not that. What are you? Acknowledge you're not it. What are you? He said, you're that. Whatever's behind all that, he says, you're that. He says, you need to learn how to tap into that part of you that's not broken. Tap into that. When you tap into that and use that, create whatever you want, because that created a body and a family. That is your creative essence. He says that is superconscious. You need to tap into that part of you. When you tap into that, you're creating from a place that's not broken. And I was like, so how do I do that? He says the first step is to acknowledge that you don't have a past. He said, right now, acknowledge that you're that and you don't have a past. I was like, what do you mean you don't have a past? He says, you don't have a past. You had a past. What? I'm like, that's a play on words, isn't it? He says, you don't have a past. You can't hand me a past. I take my watch off, I can hand you a watch. I can't hand you a past. He says, you don't have a past. You had it. You had a past. He says, I want you right now, if you truly want mentoring from me, you truly want to do this, is that you must acknowledge right now you don't have a past. Your friend is gone. It's done. You don't have it. It was brutal. I had to acknowledge it. The past is over. The past is gone, but it's the truth. So right now, no matter what your past has been like, no matter what your upbringing was, no matter what your family did, no matter what your parents did, no matter any of this rubbish, you got to acknowledge right now you don't have a past. You're responsible for everything you create, but you don't have a past. And what are you really? Type it in underneath. What do you think that is? Whatever that creative energy is doesn't need a past. It is a forward-focused, forward-oriented place. And he said to me, that is the first step, is to know your true self, what you are really, and to live like you have no past. And so just do this for a second. Just if you're watching this, close your eyes and just acknowledge that right now you can define yourself as a being with no past. Just think about that. What would it feel like right now if you have no past? Just do this. How does it feel? If you imagine you don't have a past, how does it feel? Now I want you to think of a dilemma in life, like something that's going on, like, oh gosh, I can't lose weight, or I don't have enough money in my bank account, or, my wife or husband's this, or whatever it is. Just think of a dilemma in your life. Just think, notice how you relate to that dilemma. And now imagine you have no past. So just close your eyes. Imagine you have no past. How do you relate to that dilemma now? If you have no past, how do you relate to it? And so he's taking me through all these processes, and I'm like sitting there, and literally it was like on the side, like of this little cafe type restaurant-y like seminar room. And I've got my eyes closed doing all these things. I'm going, oh, if I have no past, well, I don't have this friend. I don't have these problems. I don't have these financial problems. I don't have any of these things. And he says, now I want you to think of a big dream. Notice how you feel compared to your big dream. So I did. I was like, oh, okay, feel like I really want to feel small. He says, but what if you have no past? I was like, wow, what if I have no past? And I realized as soon as I don't have any past, and do it yourself. What is it like compared to your big dream? If you have no past, what's it like? And I realized there was nothing there. And so when I attached to no past, I realized what he was talking about. It took me the next 2 years to truly live like I didn't have a past, but I realized what he was talking about. I realized that I was bringing my past with me. And so he says the first step is to know your true self, is to know what you really are and to live without a past. The second step, he said, Chris, you need to live in the correct orientation or the correct focus. Because you are trying to use a business to give you freedom. He said, I heard everything you said. You think if you have a business, you'll have freedom. And if you have freedom, then you can be happy. If you have a business and it has money, then you can have choice. Then you'll be happy. You'll look after your family. You're going to fix all these things through the business. He says, you're in the wrong structure. You're using the business to get what you want. He said, what do you really want? What do you really want? Do you really want a business? Do you really want, what do you really, really want? I said, I want freedom. And he goes, but you don't have freedom now. He said, you're setting up a structure where you think you're going to go and create a business and get really busy and then all of a sudden have freedom. Why would I give money to someone like that? So you're not in your end result properly. You're not in the correct orientation. He says, here's your first challenge, is you need to go and have it now. He said, in the face of the storm, you need to go and feel freedom now. He said, when the debt is piled up and everyone's coming at you, and gosh, it was tough, man. Honestly, I'm just remembering it now. I had to pay like $100 and something thousand, I can't remember the exact number, over $100,000 a month just to get to not be in trouble with all the tax places. And the reason why I was in that trouble wasn't even really my fault, is that when a business partner dies, you have to pay all the tax instantly. And we had things organized in ways that, so it was a real tough spot. So I had to sell $200,000 worth of stuff just to make $100,000, just to not be in big trouble or go bankrupt. In hindsight, I should have just gone bankrupt, to be honest with you. But anyway, that was the stress I was in. So I've got all these things. I'm not going to do it. Actually, there's another piece there. The reason why I didn't want to do it is if I had just said bankruptcy, it would have brought his family into the problem too, and that would have been even worse. So now, yeah, I do remember why. Don't even know why this is relevant, but that's a full story. Anyway, he's telling me, in spite of all of that, I have to be happy and get freedom now. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to be happy in spite of all this. And he said to me, if you can't be it now, you'll never be it. He said, you're not going to get it later. You're not going to get it and then have it. You need to be it now. And that's my coaching to you. You need to be it now. You need to have it and feel it now. You can't wait. If you think I'm going to have this business and then I'm going to have freedom and be happy, it's a lie. You're not even practicing it. So you need to be it now. So I'm going to share with you the morning routine that he gave me. That is how to apply it. But before I do that, there's some thinking and some understanding that he gave me in this meeting that you must understand in order to apply. So do not skip to the end. Do not miss this information, because if you go into the morning routine without this information, it'll just be like every other morning routine that hasn't worked for you. There are some key points that are absolutely crucial and game-changing. And let me know in the chat box once you have watched it, because you'll know it's true. These 4 creations are the foundational piece of the morning ritual that I'm going to explain to you. If you create these 4 things, you can do them now. You can do them without any money or without any abundance. You can do them now. Here's they are in no particular order. I wrote about these in my book, You're Not Broken. I think now about 2 million people have learned these. These are crucial. They are the core creations that you can do right now to create. Number 1 is you must choose to create health and vitality now. There's no excuse, there's no reason to be giving health and vitality up now to try to get it back later. I see many business owners are stressed out, they're putting everything into their business, losing their health now, hoping they'll get it back later. That is a bad choice. Number 1 choice, health and vitality. Number 2 choice is choose to love your life. I choose to love my life. I see many business owners, they're not loving their life. I've got this regret minimization idea that if I'm doing something that I wouldn't do for free, I shouldn't do it. Because if I'm not doing it for free, I'm doing it for money. I'll say that again. If you wouldn't do it for free, you're doing it for money. You're trading your most precious thing, your time, for money. And so you must find a way to be doing things you would do for free and love your life. So that was my 2nd choice, is that even though I'm basically working to pay off debt, I'm going to find a way to love it. Even though I've lost all credibility, everything's gone to crap, people weren't talking to me, I was getting sued, like it was horrible. I'm going to choose that. The 3rd choice is to be the predominant creative force in my life. And this is where you choose to have the thoughts and feelings that you want. And this was tough. In spite of things going wrong, in spite of backlash, in spite of bad things, I needed to rise above that and choose to be the predominant creative force in my life, to feel good, to feel how I want to feel, and to not give my power away. You can either create being the predominant creator in your life or the predominant victim. The predominant victim gives the power away. So I had to write this down, and this was so big. I had to realize that every single thing that I had in my life, I'd created. Everything. My friend dying wasn't my fault, but me having a business where I was making 4 point something million and spending about 4, that was my creation. I had no emergency fund. I had no insurances. That was my creation. And so I had to take full responsibility that I created it and that I'm not the victim. And that was the 3rd choice, is that everything you have, if you're a business owner watching this, stop giving the power away. You hired those people. You don't have the systems. You chose it. You. And when you fully take, it's the first step in creating a life you love, is that you must take full responsibility and be the predominant creator in your life. And the 4th choice is I choose to live my true nature and purpose. Okay. And that is where you truly learn to step into your purpose as a creative being. Now, let me just summarize these 4, right? And so he says to me, you must be it now. You've got to have it now. So I choose to love my life, health and vitality, predominant creator, and true nature and purpose. I have chosen these every single day for 10 years. And it doesn't matter if I'm now, $2-3 million every single month, or when everything was going wrong, I still had those 4. I'm the same. This is one of the keys. I'm the same. Most people don't create the life they love, even though I'm going to give you the morning meditation, because you think, well, when I have the business, then I'll be happy. Real quick, if you're a driven entrepreneur who's done all the work but still feels stuck, or like you're oscillating between progress and burnout, I've got something really powerful for you. I'm running a live training where I'll show you how to unlock your superconscious so you can finally create the freedom, wealth, and impact you're here for. Hit the link in the show notes to save your spot. And now, back to the episode. So the first step is to know your true self, and the second step is to live in the correct orientation. Now the third step is crucial, is to be in a true choice. See, I wasn't in a true choice with business. I was in a business for what it was going to give me. Okay. And so you must be in a true end result. This is something you desire to create for no other reason than you'd love it created. Please listen to this before you go into the morning routine because it is that important. A true choice is not a negative vision. A negative vision has a second intention. For example, I'm going to lose weight so then I feel like I'm attractive enough to have the right person. You see that? The second intention is you want the relationship. Or like in my case, I'm going to have this business so I can have freedom and feel like I'm worthy. Right? And so he says you must be in a true choice. And he says there are 7 points, 7 ways that people get stuck in a negative vision. And I'm going to go through those right now. The 7 focus points that keep you from a true vision are really important to understand. And the first one is that the choice, the thing you're going for is to resolve a negative belief about yourself. You're not actually going for the choice. I see this all the time in people that want to help others, okay? They think that they're going for business, but they're going to help others. The problem with this is that you're not in the truth of the business. So whenever someone asks you, can I get a discount or can I do this for free? You say, of course, because your truth is to help people. And this massively stops them. You must be in a true choice. This is trying to resolve a negative belief that they're not good enough or they're not worthy the way they are. They must help others. Another one is this idea that someone isn't inherently good enough. This is something that I lived in. And so instead of having a true choice, I was going for things to try to prove how good enough I was in the world. I actually wanted the accolades and the claps more than I wanted the actual choice. I see this with a lot of coaches, by the way. My team was laughing because I didn't bring the Lamborghini. They said, Chris, you should do a video in front of a Lamborghini. I'm like, I'm not doing that. More people want to be seen in front of a Lamborghini than to actually own a paid off Lamborghini, right? They want to be seen good enough. Anyway, enough about them. The next one is that people are trying, instead of going for what they want, they're trying to be significant, okay? So a true choice is about going for what you want, not trying to use the choice to get you something, resolve something about your internal beliefs. Okay, that is the key. Another way that someone isn't going for a true choice is they don't feel like they're going to belong. Okay, so they're always trying to belong. They fear rejection. And so instead of going for their choice, they're actually trying to fit in. Another one is capability. They don't feel capable enough. So all their choice is about being capable and learning and understanding. You see, they all have a second intention. This makes them a negative vision. And so mine, again, was about business to try to get freedom. This is why you'll never have it. You'll never get a choice that's not true. It's true when you just want it, okay? Many people aren't going for the truth. In fact, here's another one that I see very often, is people aren't going for a choice. They're going for a way to stay safe. And they don't actually want the choice. And so many have wrapped business with other choices, which is why they won't have it. So this is the first of the focus points, which is you're more focused on resolving a negative belief than having the true choice. The second focus point is reaction, is where your choice is actually a desire to get away from something. So you didn't choose a business, you just had a crappy boss. Reaction never works. Most choices in reaction, it's like running away from a fire. As soon as you get where the fire's not burning you anymore, you just go back. This is the second way that your choice can be wrong. I feel this is turning out to be a really long video. I haven't even got to the morning ritual yet. The third focus point that keeps you out of a true choice is limitation, which is when your goal is actually focused on what you think is possible, not on what you'd really love. You don't actually go for your truth. You just go for what you think is possible. And again, that's not a true choice. And to repeat, you must be in a true choice, which is where you're going for just what you want, the way you want it. If you limit something, oh, just have this, only this will be enough. That is limitation. There is absolutely no energy in limitation. The fourth focus point that keeps you out of a true choice is other people's opinions. The choice isn't true. The goal or choice is actually designed to keep others happy. Okay. It's about what other people think, how they think you should be, what they think is awesome, what they think is great. And you're only creating this choice. And every time you think about it, you think about what everyone else thinks about it. Okay. There is no energy in this. Every other person has the energy who you're trying to impress with your choice. Others' opinions is really, really tough, especially when it's family's opinions of what it is you're going for. It is not a true choice if what you're going for is there as a second intention based on other people's opinions. That's the fourth. The fifth focus point that keeps you out of a true choice is control. Now, this is starting to get into some really interesting ones. I see many creators say this, and here's how they control it. They want to control it with time, and they want to control the way it's going to show up. Now, many people tell you you should have a time on your choices, but think about the truth. What's the truth? Do you really care that it shows up before your next birthday, or would you like it sooner? What's the truth? See, a true choice is you just want the thing. It's not about when it happens, right? You can't choose for a tree to grow faster than it's going to grow. You can't control it any other way. So control is where you're trying to have things show up in a too specific way. So you must be in your truth. Now, people always ask, well, how specific should I be with my choice? As specific as it's true. Okay, if it is, this is the only color car that you want, that's exactly what you want, well, that's the true choice. If you just want the feeling of the car, it's much more open. Control usually knocks people out when it comes to time frame or how it must show up, okay? So many people do this, especially in my industry. They say, Chris, I want to make $1 million as a coach. I'm like, great, okay. What if it showed up in a different way? No, only wanted this. Okay, great. That's what you want. But I always ask a question, because how do you actually want it? What actually matters to you? And control keeps you out of a true choice. Now, these are so important, right? We'll get to the morning ritual in just a second. It's important that you get this, because if you're not in a true choice, then everything else is just redundant. The sixth focus point that keeps us out of a true choice is indirectness. This is when your choices are actually vehicles to get you somewhere else. It's indirect. You're taking the long route. You're not actually in your truth, okay? There's a true choice that you want, the what, but you're in the how. Remember, it's very important to be in the what, not the how. When you're going in an indirect way, many do this. They say, I need this, then I'm going to get here. It's exactly what I did. And I've got a very good example of this. I was working with a guy a couple years ago now, and he was a CEO here in the Gold Coast, had a business. And he said, I said, what do you want? He said, I want to be going swimming with my kids, and I want to go surfing every single day. He had 2 young kids. He said, I want to walk them to school. I want to pick them up from school. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. I love it. I said, so what have we got to create? I'm like, that's great. Let's do it. He says, no, what I need to create, Chris, I need to double the size of my business so I can put a CEO in and run it for me. He already had a multi-million-dollar business. I was like, okay, that sounds great. I said, what do you really want? And he said, this is what I really want. I want to go surfing with my kids, blah, blah, blah. I want to take my kids to school, go surfing. I said, okay, great. Let's tune into it. We do the process, close our eyes, the process I'm going to teach you, the morning ritual. We tune into it. We get there and I go, do you know what the truth is, man? And he goes, well, I said, I can have you have this result really quick. I said, you're going indirect. This isn't what you want. What you want is to every day take your kids to school and go and surf. And I said, here's how you can do it. We halved the size of his business. We fired half of his team. He went from 1.2, 1.3 down to $600,000 in business. Got rid of all complexity, only kept the clients he loved, was making more profit, working less time, and he had exactly what he wanted in about a month and a half. He had it like that. Most of us are wasting time going in indirect ways. When we get into the truth of it, we can go for it. And so the last way that we keep ourselves out of a true choice is default. And default is something that you probably don't have, but many people have default. This is when they don't have choices. If you're listening to this and you're going, choices, goals, creations, like, well, I don't have any. You're in a really, really risky situation. Many people say, but I don't need choices. I don't need this. I don't need to go for things. I just want to have some money, Chris. That's all I want. If you don't have choices that you want to create in your life, you are going to get blown in any direction that the wind will take you. Think about this. Imagine you go sailing and you don't think about where you're going to go and you just float out there in the ocean. Wherever the wind takes you, wherever the wind blows, you'll end up, and maybe they end up on the rocks. Default is not safe. Default means having no choices, and it is not safe. See, in the universe, there's a law that the highest vibration creates. If you focus on what you want, if you at least say, I want a house by the beach, and I want this, and I want kids, and I want this, if you at least get focused on what you want, you'll have that. If you're in default, you don't know what you'll get, and you might be really, really unhappy with it. So these are the 7 focus points that keep you out of a true choice. And so it's so crucial. And I know that was a lot of information to get your head around. It's really important to understand, though, that if you're not in a true choice, and a true choice is about just going for what it is that you love and just being in that, there is no point getting into this ritual. And so I've got all this information from this billionaire, right? He's giving me all of this download. He's telling me all these things. My head's exploding. Okay, I've got no past. What am I? Creative energy. I got to have it all now. 4 choices. Holy crap. But if I go for what I want, there's these 7 things, and it's all going there. And I was like, wow, so am I in a negative vision? And the answer was, everything that I was doing up until that point was wrong. I was not acknowledging that I was a being without a past. I was not acknowledging my creative energy. I wasn't in a true choice at all. I was trying to do a business to prove to the world and to have freedom, and I was denying the now. I was doing everything wrong. So I get all this, and I was like, wow. And I was like, so what do I actually want? And I wrote down these choices. I said, what I want to have a business that pays me more money than my wife could spend, which has really turned out to be quite a difficult choice. I was like, I want a beautiful sports car that I drive. I want to live by the beach. I want a happy and healthy family. And I write down all of these choices. I write it down, and I hand it to him, and I focus. Say, these are what I want. I want to live by the beach. I want to have this, this, this. I write all these things down. Within 3 years, manifested the lot. He said to me, now you've got those. Here's the morning ritual. So let me finally take you through this morning ritual. So here's the steps. Have your choices written down in front of you. And every single morning, I want you to close your eyes and simply define yourself as a being without a past, okay? So here's how to do it. You close your eyes. Imagine that you have no past. And you imagine it. Draw a circle around yourself and just imagine right now you have no past. Imagine that the past is just washed away. You close the door on the past, hang a mirror on that door that only reflects the future, and just imagine, just notice what it's like to be a being without a past. And it only takes a second or two, and if you're doing it with me right now, you'll get that you can access this very quickly. If you're having a little bit of trouble with it, we do have full meditations on how to do it, but just acknowledge that you are a being without a past. Once you're there, and you truly acknowledging what you really are as a being without a past, look down at your first choice. Close your eyes, and in your mind, I want you to choose it. And your choice should be chosen like you make a decision. Like imagine that you're picking it off a menu at a restaurant. I choose that. And so you write out, I choose it. And so say it in your mind and feel the energy of the decision saying, I choose it. I choose to live by the beach, or I choose to have more money than my wife can spend. I choose it. I choose it. And as you choose it, I want you to build a full sensory experience of a moment in the future when you would have that. I want you to imagine what it would be like when you fully are that person. So close your eyes, step into a future moment where you're driving that car or have that business or whatever it is. Have that family, have that body shape you want, and step into that experience, see it through your own eyes, hear it with your own ears, and truly become it. Truly become them now. Remember the future now. As you step into that, what would you say to yourself? What would you hear? And just build this full experience up. And now that you're there, the next step is to imagine that you are coaching the person in the current reality. Imagine you're coaching your past self. From that future you, give advice to your old self. What is it that they should do to become you? Imagine that you are you in the future talking to the you in the present. And ask yourself, what is the obvious action? What do I need to do? What did I do? How did I create this? And do it as though you're remembering the future. When you connect to it, write down that answer, open your eyes, and write down what needs to be done, and then come back. This morning ritual allows you to tune into a future memory that hasn't been created yet, and allows you to reverse engineer how that would be by becoming them. When you do this, it invokes a part of your brain called your superconscious, which pulls in wisdom from outside your current reality. The process is very simple. You must do it with every single thing you choose to create. And it's so simple and so profound, it's so precise, and it turns your true future into reality. But this is why it was so important for me to explain to you. The first step is to know yourself, know past who you are really. The second, be in the correct orientation, be loving your life, and to ensure that whatever you're going for, you're just going for what you love. If you'd like a download and a meditation of this process, please put a comment below and I'll send you a link of exactly how to get the meditation and the download so you can do this every single day. And I look forward to hearing about all your results. Bye for now. If you got value from today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the real conversations and tools to help you break the cycle so you can create a business and life you actually love. If you're ready for more support, check out the link in the show notes. I'm running a live training where you'll learn how to unlock your superconscious and start scaling with purpose, profit, and peace. And don't forget to follow me on all socials at Chris M. Duncan. Remember, stop solving problems, start creating your future.